Good morning, everybody. I'm so glad to see you all here. We were waiting a moment to allow everyone to get into the session, and I think we're going to go ahead and get started and hope everyone is having a wonderful morning today. I would like to welcome you to the Illinois Works Coaching Needs Assessment Questionnaire webinar. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule today to join us. By the end of this session, you'll be able to articulate the purpose and focus of this training. Over the next couple of hours, we will have an opportunity to complete the Illinois Works Coaching Needs Assessment Questionnaire. How exciting is that? The target audience for this program is the Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Grantee Program Administrators. The coaching team and also the Illinois Works team in general would like to thank you for being here. Illinois Works is an exciting initiative that creates opportunities for Illinois residents, businesses, communities, and families. Substantial funding has been made available for the Illinois Works Job Program through the Jobs Program Act and its three key programs. Most relevant for this onboarding process is the Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program, as you know. Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program provides extensive professional development to support the success of its grantees, including program coaching. The goal of program coaching is to provide grantees with customized support in the following domains: instructional certifications, pre-apprenticeship life cycle, and business development. Program coaching is tailored and is a driven process that is very comprehensive, and it is driven by this comprehensive needs analysis that we're going to go over today, including the Illinois Works Coaching Needs Assessment Questionnaire. The webinar was designed to assist grantees in completing the Illinois Works Coaching Needs Assessment Questionnaire. My name is Vera Lee Robinson, and I am an Illinois Works program coach going into my third year. I'm very, very motivated about the opportunity to discuss this topic with you and to provide you with support. I also have with me Dr. Anna. Anna is also one of our presenters today. She will be facilitating a couple of sessions as well as Anna. So I'm going to ask Dr. Anna Bedard to unmute herself and introduce herself, and also Dr. Gia Suggs. They are both facilitators.
Sorry. Hi, it's Anna, and it's great to be here with you all this morning. Gia?
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see all of you again, and welcome.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you, Gia. You'll hear more from them later. We also have a couple of our team members who may not be present, but very enthusiastic to be a part of just supporting you in any way possible. We have Dr. Norman Ruanu, Deputy Director of Illinois Works, Mr. Dan Martinez, Grant Manager, Mr. Stephen Scott, Grant Manager, and we do have with us Miss Monica Pruitt, if she'd like to unmute herself and introduce herself.
Just good morning, everyone. Welcome back once again.
We are the team accountable for the apprenticeship initiative. And also we have a big credit program, and that program is still in development. So far, do you have any questions regarding the content that we will cover in this section? If not, we can move forward. As I've mentioned, this program is here to support you. I'd like to let you know that the program is being recorded and will be made available to you in our Illinois Works Partner Guide. The link to the Illinois Works Partner Guide is now being provided in the chat.
And Vera Lee, maybe we can go over the course objectives that are up on the screen.
The course objectives, of course, we have by the end of the session, as I've mentioned, we will be able to access the 2024 Grantee Manual, differentiate professional development and technical support. Also, explain the role of a program coach, as well as identify the data that will be used to assess program readiness and accurately complete the Illinois Works Coaching Needs Assessment Questionnaire. We'll also be able to explain the Illinois Works tracks, track 1, track 2, and track 3. Do you have any questions before we move on? If so, feel free to unmute yourself.
Good morning. This is Gail Newcomb with Women's Innovation Group. When will these videos be made available? Because two of my team members were looking. We had a lot of things happen, where funerals and different things on the dates of these trainings. So when will they be made available? Because we are having a group meeting to, kind of discuss the meetings after we meet with you guys.
I'm going to ask Dr. Suggs if she can unmute herself and explain the timeline for the recording availabilities.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vera Lee. So we do have the initial, one of the first sessions posted now. So we partner with SIU for our Illinois workNet, and the individual we partner with, he has been on vacation until today. So he has been sent all of the videos to be uploaded to date that have been, we've facilitated. And so we're just giving him a moment to get back from vacation and to start going through his email and start uploading it. But typically once he receives the recordings and the handout documents, it typically takes anywhere from 48 to 72 hours for that to show up in workNet. So gracing him, of course, because he's been on vacation and just returning today, I would expect to see something on workNet maybe Tuesday, as early as Tuesday. And if it is not there by Tuesday, I'll probably ping him to give him a gentle reminder.
Thank you so much.
Tuesday is their expectations.
Thank you.
And so, yeah, and so if we don't see it by Tuesday, I'll reach out to him. And what we'll do to help with the process, as soon as they are up and available, we'll send you all a communication letting you know what's available at the point that it's been updated on workNet. Vera Lee?
Thank you so much, and thanks for asking that very important question. We're going to move on to Module 2, which is the most important part, you introducing yourselves. By the end of this section, you'll be able to identify your fellow session participants, use the WebEx feature and functions to fully participate in the training, and identify what is so unique about the contribution. So we'll ask maybe one or two individuals to unmute themselves and talk about what you uniquely contribute as an Illinois Works grantee. So for now, we are going to move into Module 2, but if anyone has any questions, we can entertain them. If not, we can get started with kind of walking through the WebEx tutorial. We already have had several onboarding sessions, and I know everyone should be familiar with WebEx, but just in case we have a participant or two who may not know, we're just going to kind of walk through some of the features. In order for you to fully be engaged, let us review some of those basic WebEx features. We have a mute and unmute, and you can follow along with the functions as we identify them on the screen or just kind of listen through. We also have start and stop video, and that is your own camera, of course. We have a raise your hand, and you can look to see what the raise your hand is in the participant list. Sometimes we may ask you to raise your hand or lower your hand. We have those wonderful emojis so you can express yourselves. We have gestures and all of those wonderful things. Of course, you're familiar with chat. One thing that you can do, and we've been doing, is ask you to, in chat, just to test, just tell us your favorite music band. I always say my favorite band is Prince and the Revolution back in the day, but I also love the Gap Band. What about you all? If you feel like testing out your chat feature, just type in your favorite music band. And we also have groups. We won't be using this feature during the webinar, but in the future we may. All of these wonderful tools are to help facilitate the best experience for you. So keeping you informed is what we're all about, but we ask you to keep your line muted. And that will help us to manage potential interruptions during the training. Right now, we're going to ask you to unmute your line and begin to think about, introducing yourself. We're not going to use Mentimeter for the introductions, but we will be, having the Mentimeter for you to introduce yourself in a moment. But if you have any future further comments or feedback during this training, you can also email us before we kind of read off the names and introductions. You can always email us at ceo.illinoisworks@illinois.gov. That's a mouthful. So even though we're not going to be using Mentimeter for introductions, I see some of you have already moved into the chat to introduce yourself. And we are asking that you introduce yourself with your name, your organization, your role, and your geographic location. And I can just read a few. I see Oliver, hello. Bob, welcome. Miles, hello. Hi, Jaria, welcome back. Good morning, Kathy. Hi, Roger. Hi, Christina. Denise, Gail, hi, welcome. Damien, hello. Hi, Sarah, Kiara, hi, Jackie, always great to see you. Latanya, amazing to see you. And good morning, Joe. Hi, Cherie. Hey, Merrick, how you been? Hi, Carlos, great to see you again. Patricia, Kashmir, hello, good to see you, Adam. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Hi, Taria, Gail. I can read the names on and on and on. Denise, hi, how you doing? Good to see you as always. So being a program coach and being around so long, a lot of the names are familiar, but there are a lot of new names. So welcome to our new grantees. Hello, Sarah, Laura, Alejandro, wonderful to see you. Welcome back. So thank you all for introducing yourselves and typing that in chat. It's always a great thing to have all of you here. Hello, Carrie. But now we're going to move into giving you the information for Mentimeter. So you'll have it as we move along and when we begin to use Mentimeter. But in Mentimeter, we'd like for you to answer this question, but the Mentimeter information will be shared with you in the chat. Yes.
Oh, okay, great. No, sorry, ignore me.
No worries, no worries. The Mentimeter code is 88361783, and the link to Mentimeter is there. Hi, Doug. I didn't get to say hello. You typed after the introduction, so welcome. In Mentimeter, if you can just answer a question, what does your program uniquely contribute as an Illinois Work Grantee? Now, you can type that in the Mentimeter, but if you would like to have one or two individuals unmute themselves, that would be great as well. We're not going to take up a whole lot of time on this, but we would like to make sure that everyone can use Mentimeter. Hi, Maria. Nice to see you.
Hi there, Elise. I'm so sorry to interject right here, but as a gentle reminder, we're not using Mentimeter for this part of the program. Although, participants, you are absolutely welcome to answer that question in the chat, or please feel free to unmute.
Yes. Anyone care to unmute or answer the question in chat? If not, we can move on.
This is Gail Newcomb. Oh, go ahead.
No, hi.
Hi, this is Gail Newcomb for Women Innovation Group. We're in the Linwood area, and I think we focus more so on women and veterans. I think that's unique. It's great to see the guys getting into the field. It's a great field to get into. But what I don't see is a lot of females either on the roads when they're having, matter of fact, I never see them other than flag girls. And I'm seeing less and less of them doing that. I see flag men's. I no, that's so sexist. I should say flag women. So I think that's what we're really focused on women and veterans who are women. Of course, we'll take all of the people who apply, who qualify, but we really try to gear towards women. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So let's move on. We're going to talk a little bit about the 2024 Grantee Manual. By now, you should have accessed the Illinois Works 2024 Grantee Manual. It is a resource for instructions, guidance, tools, and expectations for program design, implementation, and delivery. Guidance regarding the Illinois Works coaching program is available in Section 9, Professional Development and Technical Assistance, and that starts on page 1858. You can access this resource by using the links that is being provided to you in the chat. Thank you. Before we get started, do we have any questions on this section at all? You all have introduced yourself, you've unmuted and given us one of your unique perspectives, and we thank you so much for being a part of today's session. I'd like to remind you that if you do have any questions later, you can email us, and the email address is ceo.illinoisworks@illinois.gov. And at this time, I'd like to bring forward Dr. Anna, and she can get started with the next module. And thank you all again for being here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Robinson. And again, great to see you all here. Here in Module 3, we are going to be differentiating between professional development and technical assistance, describing the Illinois Works coaching program, explaining the expectations of the 3 tracks, and listing the data sources for program readiness criteria. So, to talk about the professional development and technical assistance, grantees must plan to participate in professional development and technical assistance. So, first thing I want to say, and we've said it before, but I will repeat it for anyone who has not yet been in the room. You may be familiar with the DCEO definition of the term technical assistance, or TA. Our group, our program, Illinois Works, uses the term in a different way. And we'll explain that, how we use it here. And so we just request that when we say technical assistance, that we're all getting on board with our definition of technical assistance. And that is one-on-one or small group interventions with Illinois Works staff that help ensure program fidelity and compliance with the goal of supporting overall success. So technical assistance is one-on-one or small group interventions with ILW staff that help ensure program fidelity and compliance with the goal of supporting overall success. And then we also have professional development, which is an assortment of tools, techniques, strategies, trainings, group sessions that impact the knowledge, skills, behaviors, and attitude of our grantees, with the goal of improving your performance and enabling you to successfully implement an Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship program. Let's differentiate between the program coaching and technical assistance. And you can see here on the side, coaching is proactive. Technical assistance is responsive, or you might say reactive. Coaching is scheduled regularly, while grantees will be alerted when technical assistance is necessary. So that's more of an on-demand sort of thing. Program coaching is primarily proactive, while technical assistance is reactive. And program coaching is prevention and mitigation, whereas technical assistance aids with course correction. Program coaching is delivered by independent consultants, and so that's myself, Dr. Gia, and Dr. Violi. And technical assistance is delivered by our Illinois Works grant managers, Dan, Steve, and Monica, or other Illinois Works staff. You can see more about the differences in the grantee manual, the 2024 grantee manual in Exhibit 13. So if you need to refer to that. Now, professional development. To ensure program success, we provide a robust catalog of professional development and technical assistance offerings. So today, for example, we have all of the onboarding sessions, which are webinars. We have program coaching, which we'll talk a lot more about today. We have Toolbox Tuesdays, which is once a month, the second Tuesday of every month, more or less, with adjustments for holidays. We'll host that's optional. That's the one thing that's optional. It's a 1-hour session open to all grantee staff members. We have the regional meeting that's coming up in May. You'll be receiving a save the date soon card next week is when we're planning on sending it. And that's a full day professional development gathering for grantee staff members and administrators. And one of the things that we love about this and that we know you love about it is the networking. We really put networking between grantees front and center because that's so important for you to get to know each other, to be able to support each other, ask questions of each other, kind of have each other in your back pockets as you move forward and you're figuring things out on the ground. And there's skills development as well. And so the location and scheduling details will be available on the Illinois Works Partner Guide, and it will be in May this year. Technical assistance, we also have that. And as I stated before, that is provided by the grant managers. And we've got community of practices. And this year we have 3 community of practices. And, never say never, there might be another, but right now we are planning 3. And that's one for the transition service coordinators, another for wraparound service coordinators, and then for trainers and instructors. And those community of practice groups meet monthly, and those are required meetings. If you're in one of those groups, then you're required to meet those. And again, another way for you to learn what the latest information is and network with your fellow grantees and get your questions answered as you're actually going through the process of doing things. So technical assistance in that way. And then we've got the annual conference. And so that is in the fall, typically. And that's another opportunity for networking and for development for your staff. To learn more about the offerings and the onboarding sessions, you can see tables 19, 20, and 21 in the 2024 grantee manual, and that starts on page 162. And then the Illinois Works Partner Guide that's online also will have the information for you when it becomes available. And so I believe Monica's putting that in the chat again. So let's talk about professional development. Grantees are required to ensure appropriate staff participate in each of the professional development opportunities, as well as to ensure that there are appropriate budget line items to support participation. And a big piece of that we want to make sure doesn't get lost is the regional meeting this year is up in Naperville, the same place we had the onboarding session. So if you're downstate, it is a permissible expense to have your staff stay overnight the night before so that they can wake up, don't have to leave at 4:00 in the morning to be at the regional meeting. The regional meeting is mandatory, just like the conference in the fall is mandatory. The conference in the fall will be downstate. So that means if you're in the Chicago metro area, or Rockford, further out, Quad Cities, then make sure that there's money in your budget and that your employees can stay overnight when you're down there as well. Program coaching. So program coaching is a tailored engagement between a professional program coach and the grantee. And the opportunity allows grantees to receive individually tailored support with the goal of mitigating or preventing program challenges and proactively supporting program success. So we might be working with more than one person in your organization, depending on your coaching needs. It's not that there's one point person and they get all the coaching. No, as we go through the assessment process, we will provide that individual coaching to whichever individuals in your organization will benefit from it. I just need to, oh, they look so similar. Okay, great. So the goal of program coaching is to provide you with customized support in the following domains. Instructional certification. So the primary focus of the instructional certification coaching is to ensure that you have certified instructors on or before the start of your instruction in each certification area, that you have requirements in place related to the curriculum you have chosen, and that you use and follow the curriculum policies, procedures, and technologies. Number two, pre-apprenticeship life cycle, or what we call program coaching. The primary focus of this type of coaching is to guide and support you through a strategically planned and carefully implemented program that will specifically address the needs of your target populations. And then lastly, business development. So the primary focus of business development coaching is to provide real-time, solution-oriented support in specific areas of organizational development. The Illinois Works coaching domains address about 30 coaching needs. So you could hopefully not have 30 coaching needs, but listen, we brought some organizations in believing that with the right support, you will be able to get there. Some will have very few, some will have more needs. However many needs you have is what we will support you in, and looking forward to you moving up to, if you're track 3, maybe to track 2, if you're track 2 to track 1 in future years. So track designations. Let's talk about this. Grantees will be assessed for program readiness, and that's what the track designations are about. They are the result, your grantee track designation is the result of a comprehensive needs analysis process that considers the available information resulting from the NOFO, contracting and renewal processes, among others. And you'll have the additional benefit, if you're a renewal grantee, of your previous year's performance outcomes that help inform your current year's track designation. So the needs analysis produces, and it's so red flags. Nobody wants a red flag, right? But what red flags are really helpful because they are warning signals that could indicate a potential performance concern. And what that does is it alerts us so that we can provide you with the coaching necessary, and it alerts you so that you know that it's something that you need to really pay attention to. The needs analysis documents and information sources may include, but are not limited to, all of these items on this list: that the internal controls questionnaire, the programmatic risk assessment, the NOFO evaluation scoring sheets, the coaching needs assessment questionnaire that we will go over in this call, the Illinois Works Deputy Director, monthly compliance reports if you're a renewal grantee, or if you're a renewal grantee prior year performance outcomes. And in addition, we also consider program development, longevity, capacity, and experience relevant to construction and the building trades. And we do retain the right to update or change the above criteria for track designations at our discretion, but that's what we're working off of right now. Once the information from each of the data sources has been analyzed, the track designation for each grantee is established. You'll be either track 1, track 2, or track 3. And you can find more information if you are playing along. You can go to the track descriptions in the grantee manual, starting on page 169, and that's table 23 in the 2024 grantee manual. Let's talk about professional development and coaching plans. At the end of the needs analysis process, grantees will be identified as either track 1, in which case you will receive recommendations for your professional development plan, or you might be designated track 2 or track 3, in which case you will receive a coaching plan. More information regarding the expectations of each track designation is available again in table 23 in the grantee manual. There is some fluidity with regards to track designation. We will be providing your track designations, and Gia, I'm going to have to ask you, I believe by the end of March is when we will provide that. And though most tracks will remain the same throughout the year, it is possible for a grantee to experience a change in your track based on your program performance. Additional detailed guidance regarding Illinois Works program coaching is available starting at page 166. And also you might want to look at template 20 in the 2024 grantee manual. That is the sample internal development plan. So if you're in track 1, you're like, what's the internal development plan look like? You can find it there. Track designations. I'm going to go through the 3 track designations in a little bit more detail. Track 1. Though there may be exceptions, track 1 grantees are typically experienced at delivering construction and/or building trades pre-apprenticeship programs and have a robust staffing infrastructure, including a strong formal partnerships or contractor-vendor relationships. Grantees with this designation will receive recommendations with relevant support resources to be added to your internal professional development plan. And you can see in the grantee manual, template 20. The coaching is not required. If you're in track 1, you do have the option to opt in to coaching for 10 hours a month while retaining your track 1 designation. Track 2. Again, though there may be exceptions, track 2 grantees are typically new to delivering construction and/or building trades pre-apprenticeship programs, or do not have a robust staffing infrastructure to effectively respond to Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship program expectations. Given this, you may need to support identifying, forgive me, I got distracted for a second. Given this, you may need to support identifying partners, contractors, vendors, or building an internal infrastructure to deliver the required services. Grantees with this designation will receive a comprehensive coaching plan based on coaching needs that emerged based on your needs analysis. Track 2 grantees are contractually required to participate in program coaching for up to a maximum of 10 hours of coaching a month. Track 3, unlike the other 2 tracks, track 3, also known as the Accelerator Program, grantees are generally, although not always, identified during the NOFO process. These grantees are contractually required to participate in program coaching for a minimum of 10 hours a month and up to a maximum of 20 hours a month. And if additional coaching is required, a determination will be made at the discretion of the Illinois Works Deputy Director. Track 3 is a new designation for 2024 program year. These are organizations who are seeking to expand your impact in the construction pre-apprenticeship program space, but you may lack the knowledge or the experience to do so. So if your organization is in track 3, it was designated by Illinois Works as a track 3 accelerated program grantee when offered funding. The track 3 accelerated program provides a more intensive program coaching model, right? 10 to 20 hours of coaching versus up to 10. And that's designed to build your organization's capacity to deliver the pre-apprenticeship program. Grantees enrolled in the Track 3 Accelerated program, as I said, it's minimum of 10 hours up to a maximum of 20 hours per month. And you also receive additional support, including monthly compliance meetings with the grant manager and program coach, peer mentoring by Illinois Works, other pre-apprenticeship program grantee mentors, monthly accelerator program support group meetings, and additional funding. More information about the tracks is available in Table 23, track descriptions in the 2024 grantee manual. So if you're looking for all this in writing, it is in Table 23. Required coaching. Program coaching is required by the Office of Illinois Work for tracks 2 and 3 grantees, and track 1 you can opt in if you'd like. It is tailored to provide proactive and preventative one-on-one support. And as I mentioned, it's driven by needs analysis and coaching planning. About 75% of coaching support is proactive, 25% is reactive. The Illinois Works program coach partners with individual grantees to ensure program success and alignment with your grant expectations. Illinois Works grantees are contractually required to comply with coaching expectations. Additional detailed guidance regarding the Illinois Works program coaching is in the 2024 grantee manual. You can find that starting on page 166. Kind of want to, I have just two more points before we get to questions. And the next point is around the Illinois Coaching Needs Assessment Questionnaire. And this is what we'll be spending the remainder of today on. It is a tailored companion tool to the Illinois Works coaching domains. It's a grantee self-assessment tool that translates your responses into coaching needs that correspond with the Illinois Work coaching domains. So you should have received a copy of the Illinois Works Coaching Needs Assessment Questionnaire via email. However, we have updated it, and not super substantially, but we have updated it. We'd like you to work off of the updated one. And momentarily, I will send it to you via the official share file transfer function here in WebEx as soon as I stop talking. So you'll have that in just a second. And ideally, you will partner with the appropriate program staff members in your organization to provide the most accurate and up-to-date responses. The completed questionnaire will be due to Illinois Works staff on or before February 25th. So that's 10 days from now. And we are going to, I'm going to download a PDF for you to follow along with today. However, I want you to know that we are doing this via Google Docs. So we have a Google Docs document that is not ready to be released today, but it will be released shortly. And so you can just make your notes in the written document or on, electronically if you'd like. But then we're requesting that you fill out the Google Docs form version of it for tabulation purposes. Are there any questions? That was a whole lot. Any questions before we move on and I let Gia actually do a deep dive with you where you can start considering your own answers to the Illinois Works Coaching Needs Assessment Questionnaire.
Anna, it looks like Gail has a raised hand.
Oh, great. Gail, you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Yes. Okay, I want to make sure I understood this because you did say a lot. We have 10 days to complete it. I did get the first email and I actually have it open, but that's not the one you want us to work with.
No, and as soon as we finish the Q&A, I'm going to file transfer it to you here in the meeting right now.
All right, and that's the one you want us to work with.
Yes, and I see another question here. February 25th is a Sunday. Is it due Friday or Monday? You know, I think we actually just said February 25th. So I'm going to go with, if you don't work on the weekend, then please submit it by that previous Friday.
All right. All right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to do this and I'm going to hand it over to Gia, and I'm going to, and actually, Gia, maybe we could just give people a breather, stand up, stretch, rest your brain for a second while I share this with you. And then we can get started as soon as I've done that. You know what? I don't know how to do it from this particular display, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment. Wow, you all, this is give me this. This is my first time, so I'm a little slow on the uptake here. Transfer. All righty. Great. I just hit share. Did something happen?
Anna, yes, and we have file transfer available.
That is great. All right, good. Then I'm going to start sharing my screen again. And Gia, you can get moving.
Great, thank you, Anna. So let me just pause for a second. Was everyone able to download from the file transfer? Because I know that can take a few seconds. Okay, thank you, Kashmir. Thank you, Roger. All right, Anna, if you, okay, we're going to pull that back up again in just a second so that you can have access to that. And we're going to show a couple of slides that will demonstrate for you how to actually download that transfer. So we'll add that to this conversation to assist you with that process. So really quick, we are in Module 4, and this is the Illinois Works Grantee Coaching Needs Assessment Questionnaire module, where we're going to take a deep dive into all of the questions. During this section, this will give you a chance to accurately complete the Illinois Works Grantee Coaching Needs Assessment Questionnaire. So
Gia, then, do you need me to go back and do that again?
Not yet. We're going to show the slide so that they can actually, so for those who have never done it before, it may not be intuitive. So we're going to actually show the slide so they can see how to download it, and then we'll pull it back up. But we're going to do that in just a second. Okay, so Anna, we're going to progress just one more slide. All right. So the Illinois Works Grantee Coaching Needs Assessment Questionnaire. This assessment has 77 closed-ended questions divided into 16 sections. We're going to actually review each of these sections. If you do not have access to it, we're going to take a moment in just a second to show you how to download from the WebEx file transfer. So just a second ago, you got a chance to see that file transfer for a moment. But we're going to show you, if you've not done it before, we're going to show you how to do that. And then Anna is going to do that one more time so that you can have an opportunity to download that. So let's go to the next slide for the file transfer. So again, Anna mentioned we made some small edits to the questionnaire, and just so that you are working from the most current version of the questionnaire, we're actually going to make this available to you. You can see on the screen now is what the WebEx file transfer, it's called a dialog box, but this is what that box looks like. So when it pops up again, and Anna's going to share it again, you'll see this box. It'll say file transfer. Then you will see the actual document pop up in the box. So when you see that pop up, click on the document, and then you see the red box around download, click download. And this will allow you to download this most current version of the document to your desktop. So again, the file transfer box will come up. Then you will see the assessment populate in there. You actually have to click on it. It'll turn blue, and then just click download, and then it will download to your desktop. So we're going to pause for a second and let Anna do the file transfer. Okay, you should see the dialog box there now. It's in gray, but once you click on the file name, and you'll see 2024 ILW, and then it'll start to spell out the name, and then you'll see ... Click on that. It will turn blue. Once it turns blue, click download. I'm going to give you a moment to do that. All right, so it's got a lot of no's, a lot of people who had not had an opportunity to do it before. Yep, that might also be an option to right-click. Yep, right-click and download. Awesome, thank you. Thank you, Brittany. Others. Juan, Patricia, are you able to download? Got it, Gail, thank you. Who needs me to keep this up a few minutes longer? I was able, yes, awesome, Kathy, thank you. Joe, thank you. Christina, thank you. Patricia, thank you. Does anyone else need a few more moments? Got it, Carrie, thank you. All right, I think we are good and we can proceed. And thank you, Anna, for taking the time to pull that back up again and give everyone an opportunity to download that. If you click the little red X, you can close out that dialog box. So what is our intention today? When we first started, and we're talking back in 2022, we simply asked people to complete this assessment. And we got a lot of feedback saying, particularly for organizations who were new, not the who were, and of course, back in the beginning, everybody was new. But we got a lot of feedback saying, you're asking questions. We're not entirely sure what you are asking, why you are asking, or what some of these terms are you are referring to. So as a result of that feedback, we put together this session to make sure that everyone understands exactly what we're asking and that you have an opportunity to ask questions of us and best respond to each of the questions on the questionnaire. The way I understand a lot of grantees use this tool is that during the session, they will intuitively answer some of the questions. And some of them you will have a really quick response to, like, yes, absolutely, we have that. Or no, we don't have that, or we haven't even thought about that, so no. But there are other questions where an administrator might say to themselves, you know what, I'm actually not sure. I need to touch bases with my program coordinator. I need to touch bases with the instructors that we're partnering with. I need to ask a secondary or tertiary person to give them feedback so that they can appropriately ask the question. So this is just a recommendation. Any process you choose to use, of course, that works for your organization is fine. But I think what has worked best for a lot of people is that during this session, they take the document that you just grabbed during the download, and if they know the answer, they make a note of it, yes or no, because these will all be closed-ended questions. But if they don't, they make a small notation saying, you know what, follow up with Red Cross CPR instructor on the MOU, connect with transition coordinator, blah, 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 blah. And then and so let me just say this. This is why we're having the session today, but it is not due until the 25th. And the reason why we made it due, well, we said Sunday, but we wanted to give people the weekend to be able to work on it if that is helpful for them, if having that extra time is helpful for them. So instead of having to do on a Friday, I guess we could have done Monday, but we wanted to give people the weekend because what they'll do is they'll meet with their staff, wherever they make those little notations, they will ask those individuals to respond or give them feedback. And then they will collect all of that information and then comprehensively respond to the assessment. This year, we tried to make it more convenient. So even though we have the paper copy today for you all to use during this conversation, the electronic copy is the formal version that you'll be able to submit for us. So one of the other things we've been asked is, why are we using paper? Can you all please create an electronic version? So the answer is yes, of course we can. And so after this session, we will email you the link to the electronic version that we created, which is the final, which we will regard as the definitive version of your responses. So before I keep going, any questions about that, the intention of this time and how we're intending to use it?
Jill, actually, there is a question in the chat just for clarification. Is the questionnaire due the 23rd or the 26th?
The questionnaire is due the 25th, on or before the 25th. So however you want to manage your time to make that happen is okay with us. If you want to turn it in the 17th, if you want to turn it in the 18th, the 19th, the 20th, when we arrive on the 25th, we are expecting to have on the 26th, that Monday morning, we are expecting to have all of the assessment results to complete the data analysis process.
There's
Does
nothing.
that help?
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. All right. So the first section is the instructional certification section. We have spent a lot of time talking about instructional certification, and the reason why is that Illinois Works is a workforce development program, and so the instructional component of this is critical. So clearly, the overarching focus of the Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program is to fund grantees that prepare underrepresented populations to successfully transition into a DOL registered apprenticeship program in either construction or the building trades. So effective grantees will create pathways and manage the transition of the pre-apprenticeship program graduates into a registered apprenticeship program. As a result, Illinois Works funding and programming must stay within the scope of this goal, keeping in mind that Illinois Works is actually an act that was passed by the Illinois legislature. The pre-apprenticeship curriculum requires that you offer 177 hours of instruction and not to exceed 300 hours unless you partner with your grant manager to get the approval of additional hours. For the individuals on the call that are renewals. Last year, of course, the required minimum was 150 hours. So how did we get to 177 hours this year? Part of how we got there is that we are now required to offer 40 hours of construction math. So as a note, for those of you who have NCCER, the NCCER curriculum offers about 10 hours of instruction math. So if you have a construction curriculum that offers some construction math, so let's say NCCER, and you decide to leverage those 10 hours, then you will only be accountable for augmenting your instruction with about 30 hours. But the goal is to make sure you have 40 hours of construction math. So that's some of the changes that have been made from 2023 to 2024 that takes us to this new 177 hours minimum. So Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship required certifications, and I know you all know this by now, but you have to have a construction curriculum. So that's, you know, Trades Future NC3, formerly known as NAP2, NCCER, ICCB, those are the approved curriculums. You don't have to use those curriculums. You are free to request to use a different curriculum, but it has to be approved. Of course, OSHA 10, we have first aid, we have CPR. And there may be other nationally recognized certifications like the Flagger certification that you might choose to offer in your curriculum. So the ability to deliver this training requires specific instructor certifications and site designations. For more information about that, you can take a look at page 15 in your 2024 grantee manual. And if we have that link available, can we please share it in the chat so that as we are going through the questionnaire, if you also want to reference the manual, you can do that. The content, the instructional content, there are 11 questions to address the instructional content. We're going to go through those really quick. So here is the first question. And as we go through these, I may add some additional context to assist with you answering the question. If you have questions, this is not one of those we have to wait to the end. I want to be able to answer questions in real time. So put a question in the chat. Monica, please interject if something pops up so I can address it as we are going through each of these. Also, please feel free to unmute. I'm happy to stop and respond if you unmute and ask a question. So the first one is, are there dedicated instructors certified to deliver OSHA, CPR, first aid? Of course, you know that these are required in the curriculum. However, individuals who deliver these instructions must have certain credentials by the certifying body. Do you have instructors that have their certification by the appropriate certifying body to deliver this content? That is a yes or no. Same thing for question number 2. This is about your construction curriculum, Trades Future, NCCER, ICCB, or any other construction curriculum that may have been approved. Do your instructors have those appropriate certifications from the certifying body to deliver that content? And if they do not have it, do you have an MOU or a former relationship with someone who has those credentials who can deliver that content for your program, right? Which of course leads us into question number 3. Does your organization have access to your accrediting body's online system for student digital testing? So as you know, Illinois Works requires evaluations or assessments, which are also considered post-assessments for all of its content except for the onboarding session, the orientation session. The construction certifying bodies actually have online systems to help support that digital testing. Does your organization have access to that student digital testing online system for your construction certifying body? So yes or no. Number 4, does your organization have access to a dedicated role or liaison for their construction curriculum. So there is one person that should be the designated person to communicate with the certifying body. One person. And the reason why this is a part of this questionnaire, because in the past, there had been where communications were going to different people, which was causing conflict with the certifying body being able to get the access to the credentials necessary to validate that your participants had completed the program. So what has worked best is that your organization, you as the administrator, has identified this person within your organization to be accountable for all communications with your certifying body for the construction curriculum. Do you have that person identified, yes or no? Most of the time, they will actually require that you tell them who that one person is. And I know some organizations will have a person and then maybe like a backup person. So two people will get the communications, but one person is primarily accountable for replying to those communications. Number 5, does your team have the necessary partnerships to deliver the required training services? So if your individuals don't have that, does your organization have partnerships with other organizations or other individuals who have those certifications that will come in and help support the training for your curriculum? Number 6, and for those who are renewals, this is a new question. Does your organization have a dedicated instructor to teach the 40 hours required for construction math? Do you have someone? So I know in the past, a lot of you have incorporated some construction math, and I know just about everyone has had tutors available to help with construction math, but do you actually have an instructor now who can assist with the 40 hours of construction math? Number 7, does your organization have an instructor training schedule for each cohort? So for each cohort, there should be an actual training schedule. The training schedule should say, and this is just an example, on Monday, we're doing CPR first day. It starts at 9 o'clock, it ends at 3 o'clock. This is the location. It'll be on site at the blah, blah, blah building. The instructor for this content is such and such, and yes, we have verified that they have their appropriate credentials. Do you have, and for each day, throughout your curriculum, there should be a schedule that clearly communicates start time, end time, location, instruction, and verification of the credentials. Do you all have a training schedule? Number 8, does your organization have access to the Trade Future, NCCER, ICCB, or other approved curriculum online system? So of course, we know the online system supports digital testing, but they also provide access to assessments, records management, performance evaluations, credentials around certifications. Do you have access to that system? Access to the system has prevented some organizations from being able to verify completion expeditiously so that they can be cleared by the grant management and invoice in a timely manner. So we don't want access to the system to prevent your ability to prevent you from being able to upload the appropriate credentials and actually to upload the credentials and being able to reimburse in a timely manner. Okay. Number 9, does your organization have a process in place to track program completion and remediation? So this is a process that says if for some reason a participant misses a day, does not complete, so some of them, even though Illinois Works has a minimum number of hours they have to complete for certification, some of the credentialing bodies require, like CPR and first aid, you have to be there the whole time. So if for some reason a participant does not complete everything that is required, is there a process in place to assist that participant in completing the requirements so that they can graduate from your program? Does your program have, number 10, does your program have a classroom or work lab setup with relevant equipment and materials for training? Keeping in mind that one of the requirements is they have to have lab time and on-site time as part of their experience in your program. Do you have that set up yet? And the last one for this question is, are all of your organizational needs met, relevant to curriculum, training, delivery, instruction, any of that? That's the last question for this section. I'm going to pause now. Any questions about the questions that are being asked, the 11 questions being asked in the instructional section of the assessment?
Yeah, there is one question in the chat from Patricia Robles. Our organization has various cohorts in multiple sites. Are we required to complete one questionnaire per organization or one questionnaire per site or location?
Yeah, so here's the answer. It's typically per organization. So that's actually going to be the answer. It is per organization. So if you have multiple sites and any one of your sites does not have any of the things that we just discussed, then the answer to that would be no, we do not have it. Thank you for that. And that's a good question because we do have a lot of organizations that have multiple sites. Any other questions?
Nope, that's it for the chat.
All right, let's move to the next section. Marketing, outreach, recruitment. So outreach and recruitment are both critical elements for the grantee's success. It is essential that grantees can articulate not only the program requirements and curriculum, but also the opportunity their program offers. For many potential participants, this may be the first time they have heard about your pre-apprenticeship training program, and they may not know the benefits of having a career in the construction or building trades. So through your materials and communicated messages, you will have an opportunity to highlight the goals of your program, the components of your programs, and the core values of the Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program. Your outreach and recruitment activities should emphasize the goals of diversifying the construction trades and promoting an environment of collaboration, innovation, and resilience where participants' unique experiences and backgrounds will be valued. Additionally, outreach and recruitment materials should highlight the needs of participants and how participants' programs will help them overcome barriers. This is where you sell your program, and not just your program, but the opportunity of pursuing a career in the construction and building trades. So this section has a couple of questions, questions 12 through 16. I'm going to go through these again really quickly. Same thing, drop a question in the chat. Anna, Monica, feel free to interrupt me if a question pops up. You can also, yes,
in fact,
also
I will. I will.
Okay.
I'll interrupt you right now. And Kathy's asking, so on page 110 of the grantee manual, it lists, and she's quoting, soft skills based on Illinois Essential Employability Skills Framework, 32 to 40 hours required. And she's asking, is that the curriculum that should be used?
So you can. You don't have to. That's not a requirement. That is guidance. That is a formal guidance that the legislature has asked Illinois Works to use to provide guidance on what should be included in the employability or soft skills section. So it may say you should provide instruction like interviewing skills instruction. You should provide instruction on, I think you all offer so many different things, how to manage up, how to manage down, interviewing skills, navigating difficult conversations. So that gives guidance on the topics that should be included, but the actual curriculum content, you all have space to create that content yourself. Does that help?
He says, I'm learning a lot. Awesome. She said, thank you.
If you need to ask a follow-up question to that, I appreciate that response, please do so because I am happy to answer it. And the reason why it's left a little open-ended is because not everyone actually has the same target audience. So although Illinois Works has a consistent target audience for everyone, women, veterans, people of color, not everyone's cohort is actually targeting and recruiting the same target audience. So your cohort may be predominantly women. Someone else's cohort might be predominantly Hispanic. Someone else's cohort might be predominantly men, but African American, somebody else's cohort. So no two cohorts are the same. And because this is an equity-focused program, there has to be some room. Your cohort could be predominantly returning citizens. So there has to be some space in the program where you can say, based on my target audience, they need this. So those 32 to 40 hours of employability skills allows you to say, yeah, we need to talk about this, we need to talk about this, happy to do it, but I know my audience and they're gonna need support with this. And that's how I am also augmenting my 32 to 40 hours of employability skills, because I know they will need this very specifically when they leave my program and they go on site. And this is just an example. The first time the supervisor says, hey, that's not right. I know my group needs support on how do they appropriately respond to that constructive feedback in a way that will allow them to continue to partner at that organization and be successful. So that's why it's not prescribed in a more detailed way. It just allows you room to assess your target audience and give them the skills they need.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
And I do apologize, I'm new.
No,
but
please.
the 4 hours of test taking skills, who is recommended to teach that?
So that it can, if you have someone qualified within your organization who can actually teach test taking skills, then you will answer yes. But if you don't have someone within your organization that is actually qualified to teach test taking skills, and you don't have a memorandum of understanding with another organization or a different instructor who can support that, then you will just answer no. And when you partner with your coach, we have resources. It really depends on where you're located too, that's a factor, but we have resources to help connect you with support.
Okay.
So if that is, yeah, that's just a no. And keeping in mind, even if you are a track one, we have had track one organizations say, I know I'm a track one, I know I'm not required, but we want some focus time on this, this, and this. And Illinois Works will provide it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just had if there's somebody I
Yeah.
can email, let me know. What would license you or certify you to teach this?
So for that, it's not necessarily a license for that, but you do want to have an instructor who is a subject matter expert on test taking skills and has experience teaching test taking skills. So this isn't test taking, like there is actually best practices, techniques for how to teach someone to effectively take a test. And we all know, like some of us are those people who, it's not that we're not smart, it's not that we can't learn. There's something about taking a test, whether it's the anxiety, the nerves, or just the way our brain functions, particularly if the test is timed. So there are techniques that can actually help people who are just not great test takers.
Oh, yes.
Improve
I'm a teacher, so I understand that.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Number 12, does your organization have a comprehensive marketing plan? It's a pretty easy yes or no. If a plan does not exist, just no, and that would be one of the things that you can get support with. Does your organization have an effective outreach and recruitment plan that includes at least 7 touch points? If you do not know, so we talked about touch points in the grantee manual session. I want to say it was session number 2. If you were not able to attend that, I am really hopeful that our videos will be uploaded by Tuesday. Kind of answered that question earlier, by Tuesday of next week. I won't take a deep dive into touches right now, but if you don't really know what a touch is, that may be one that you mark to take a look in the grantee manual, to read what touches are, or go back and revisit the video to see what touches are, but your plan should have at least 7 touches. The reason why you should have at least 7 touches in your plan is because it takes 7 to 10 touches typically for an individual who is thinking about joining your program to actually say yes. And this is just being responsive to adult learners. So when you see something from the first time and you kind of want to do it, that first contact, second contact. So if you quit before the 7 to 10 touches, if you say, well, they didn't respond, just forget it. If you stop reaching out before you hit that 7 to 10 touches, then you increase the probability that you will lose someone in your program who would have said yes on that 7 to 10 touch. Okay, so does your plan incorporate that component? Number 14, does your organization have partners that will help you recruit? We have some organizations who are extremely successful, like working with schools. So they will actually work with the guidance counselors and anyone who communicates on any level that they like working with their hands, they're interested in construction, they love the workshop class. And they actually pull those individuals together and they hold a session and they invite the Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship representative from that organization to come talk to those students at the school. That is a successful partnership to help them with outreach and recruitment with the school. So do you have those kind of partnerships to help you with your outreach and recruitment? Does your organization, number 15, does your organization have a strategy in place to uphold diversity, inclusion, equity, and belonging practices? So this would include materials that are in other languages, but I also want to be clear, just translating materials into another language is partial. It's understanding who your target audience is and how decision-making is made. So for example, there are some ethnic groups that if you're not inviting mom and dad, you're not doing the best you could do to help them with their decision making, because grandparents and parents are an important part of that decision making process. So some of it is language, but some of it is understanding who you're reaching out to and how you can best help them make the right decision about being in your program. Now here's the other catch-22 I want to add about translating your materials into different languages. Keep in mind, Illinois Works only allows construction instruction in English. So even though you are translating your materials, the instruction will only be in English. And so there are some wraparound services and student support services that you can provide to help individuals. And I'm going to pause there because this is a deeper dive than we can do right now in this session. But here's the thing. If you have questions about anything that I just said, and you need support around this, then your answer to this question is no. But if you're like, yep, been there, done that, got a sticker for it, we're good, then the answer to that is yes. And then of course, number 16, are all other needs met regarding marketing and outreach? Pausing. Any questions before we move to application?
None in the chat.
Okay, awesome. All right, the next one, application. The Illinois Works participant application process carried out by the outreach. Yes?
Oh, actually, I'm sorry, because I'm looking, I kind of went back a little bit, but I think Kathy got, no, Kathy got this other question answered. Sorry, keep going.
All right. So the outreach and recruitment coordinator is designed to enroll participants who are able and ready to make a career in construction and the building trades. The Illinois Works application process builds off the pre-apprenticeship assessment conducted during the outreach and recruitment stage of the pre-apprenticeship life cycle, right? You should actually be familiar with the pre-screening assessment from both your onboarding of the 2024 grantee manual, but also a lot of you have actually started outreach and recruitment and are collecting applications. Okay? Actually, I know there are some of you who actually have done orientation, so you're probably already familiar with this. So the first step is a formal application completed by the participant in partnership with a member of your intake staff, so one of the coordinators. Once the grantee determines the applicant should move on through the process, the applicant then must participate in a standardized interview in which 2 grantee staff members score the applicant's interview answers. So based on the application interview, the grantee will receive a determination of whether or not they are accepted into the program or denied access into the program. More information about the application process is in section 5 of the grantee manual, and that starts on page 78. So there are only 2 questions for this, questions number 17 and 18. Question number 17, does your organization have a clearly defined process for helping potential applicants matriculate through the application process, including pre-screening, application, interview, and then, of course, we have some sample decision letters in the appendix of your grantee manual. And question number 18, are all other needs met regarding the application process? I will note, if you are designated a track 2 or track 3, then some of these things that we're talking about, you may be required to provide documentation. Any questions about the application?
None in the chat.
All right, let's move on to intake and wraparound services. So the intake process is focused on wraparound service assessments. It is an opportunity for the coordinators who are doing intake to meet with participants one-on-one. During this meeting, staff can assess participants' needs, establish wraparound supports, and begin building a rapport with the participants. It is important to remember that this meeting will be the first time program staff will interact with the participant as a rolee and not as an applicant. Wraparound services and student support services are closely linked in Illinois Works core values regarding overcoming barriers and empowering participants for resilience and self-sufficiency. The 2 of those together, wraparound services and student support services, they create a supportive service package designed to minimize or eliminate academic or non-academic barriers. But it's important that we differentiate between wraparound services and student support services. So let me do that for you. Wraparound services are defined as supports that address non-academic barriers. Student support services are designed to address academic barriers. So right now we're talking about wraparound services. Wraparound services are for non-academic barriers. These barriers can include, but of course would not be limited to, child care, mental health counseling, transportation. This next point is important and perhaps actually unique to Illinois Works. A lot of programs will offer an array of services, and everyone is just automatically signed up for their services. That is not how Illinois Works works around the delivery of wraparound services. Illinois Works wraparound services process is an opt-in process. So participants, they decide what they need and they opt into it. This model of service leads to greater self-sufficiency as it challenges participants to think through long-term planning for services. All too often, programs provide a suite of supports for participants while in the program, but when the program ends, the services completely stop, and they haven't actually built their own personal capacity. With the opt-in model, participants will meet with the appropriate coordinator at your organization one-on-one to establish the services that they need during the program and to help build their capacity for long-term self-sufficiency. I will also add, at any point, a participant can opt in or opt out of a service. So they may say, nope, I don't need child care. My aunt said she was going to help me, but if halfway through the program that support does not work out, then that particular wraparound service can then be provided for participants. More information about intake and wraparound services are on page 86 for intake, 91 for wraparound services in your 2024 grantee manual. Questions 19 through 24 will ask you about wraparound services and intake. I'll go through those questions. 19, does your organization have a clear process in place for enrollment? Next one, does your organization have a wraparound service plan? Right? Exhibit 15 in the appendix of your manual provides a sample of a wraparound service plan. Has your organization identified a list of wraparound services necessary to best serve your specific target audience? So the needs of your target audience. Do you have services that can respond to those needs? Does your organization have internal or external partners or resources for each of the identified wraparound services in the list of wraparound services that Illinois Works says you have to offer? So you can see that on page, the allowable cost on page 92 through 95. Does your organization have verified wraparound service partners with MOUs or partnership agreements? And the last question in this section, are all other needs met regarding wraparound services? Any questions about those questions?
None in the chat.
All right. So I started talking about wraparound services and student support services. Wraparound services are non-academic needs or barriers. Student support services are actually academic needs. So let's go through those. So student support services are defined as supports that address academic needs. Unlike wraparound services, most of those supports are mandatory for participants based on subpar attendance or performance. Participants must opt into services such as tutoring or math or reading. So these are services you should have available for your participants ongoing. However, student supports, unlike wraparound services, student support services are not entirely opt-in. Other services such as makeup hours for missed courses, retaking a post-assessment after a participant may have failed a post-assessment, or attending tutoring for certain modules where academic performance is subpar, those are to be required by your program for your participants. Through these services, students will gain, of course, lifelong skills that will help them grow and prepare them to be successful in the construction and building trade industry. Questions number 25 through 29 are about student support services. 25, has your organization identified a list of student support services that are necessary to best serve your target population? Again, of course, we have an allowable cost list for you in the grantee manual, those on pages 92 through 96. Are there any internal or external resources necessary for each of the services you are providing? Is there a plan for tracking, paying, and reporting performance-based stipends? Again, information on stipends are on page 98 and 99 in your grantee manual. Does your organization have a list of verified student support services partners, complete with MOUs and/or partner agreements? And number 29, last question, are all other needs met regarding your student support services? Any questions about either wraparound services and the questions that are being asked, or student support services and the questions that are being asked?
There are no questions in the chat, Gia.
Great, thanks, Monica. Let's move to the next section. This is around program completion and transition. This is one of the most critical components of your program. Of course, instruction is the heart of the program, but your ability to transition graduates into registered DOL apprenticeship programs is the measure of overall success. When Dr. Ruano meets with the legislature around the success of the pre-apprenticeship program, that's what they want to know. How many of Illinois Works graduates are in DOL registered apprenticeship programs? This is also a huge chunk of your reimbursement too, for that matter. I don't want to take a deep dive into this because I want to be mindful of our time, but the session 3 talked about the different transitions and then the reimbursement scale for the different transitions. The primary transition is to a DOL registered apprenticeship program, and that's where you get maximum reimbursement. Keeping in mind, there are other reimbursement options for, you know, if they go straight into construction employment or some other things. But let's talk about program completion and transition. For most participants, program completion will mark the end of their instruction and training and the beginning of their transition into a registered DOL apprenticeship program and or employment. By this time, participants should have received several industry recognized certifications, including but not limited to their construction certification, NCCER, Trades Future, ICCB, their OSHA 10, their first aid, CPR, and any other certification that you have made a requirement in your curriculum. Transition services are an essential element of the Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship program and involve arranging activities that expose participants to the construction industry and help them apply to a DOL registered apprenticeship program and or employment. This can be achieved by involving participants in relevant industry events, career fairs, job fairs, trade-related networking events, and preparing them for applications. And of course, Illinois Works will pay for applications, testing, and other apprenticeship entry requirements. Once participants have successfully completed the instructional piece of the program, the transition service coordinator will begin transitioning services guided by their transition plan, developed in partnership with the participant and based on the information collected in their career assessment. Questions about program completion and transition are number 30 through 34. If you want more information about program completion and transition, you can see page 144 and 147. Is there a question?
There are no questions in the chat.
Okay, awesome. Keep going here. So let's look at those 4 questions, 5 questions. All right. Has your organization developed a comprehensive list of transition opportunities based on the needs of your target population and incoming cohorts? Again, you can see transition services on page 147 and 151 in your grantee manual. Has your organization incorporated the Illinois Works Career Assessment and Transition Plan into your internal processes? Again, you can refer to Exhibit 5 if you want to see a copy of the career assessment. Has your organization developed a program completion process aligning the career assessment and transition goals with primary and secondary transitions? You can see Section 8, Program Completion, Transition Services, and Follow-up in your 2024 Grantee Manual for a comprehensive overview of those. Does your organization have a process in place for transition verification? This is critical. If it is not verified based on specific criteria, you cannot get reimbursed for it. And I'll just pause there because that is a more comprehensive conversation what is required as verification. You can see page 221 in your 2024 grantee manual for more information, but if you feel like you don't have a solid handle on transition verification, then answer no here. Are all other needs met regarding transition services? Any questions about transition or completion?
I'm not seeing any questions in the chat.
All right, awesome. We're going to keep going to follow-up. So follow-up is questions 35 through 37, and if you look in your grantee manual, there's information about follow-up and about follow-up on pages 155 to 157. Program follow-up is an essential component of the Illinois Works Career Apprenticeship Program. There are many ways to stay in touch with program graduates on a routine basis, including surveys, focus groups, phone calls, text messages, email check-ins, social media. Each of these methods provide an opportunity to determine graduates' additional needs and to receive feedback about the services they are provided, but more important, to collect key data relevant to the verifying process so that we can verify processes and outcomes. So there is follow-up requirements for the short term, but we also are conducting a longitudinal study to see in 3 to 5 years, in 10 years, we have actually contracted for that longitudinal study, how successful was Illinois Works? How successful were the participants who graduated from your program? As part of the Illinois Works Peer Apprenticeship Program, transition service coordinators are expected to conduct active follow-up with participants after transition from the program for 1 year after they graduate from your program. This includes completion of an active tracking questionnaire in IWRS, as well as updates in the applicant tracking system. We have talked about both of those in the grantee manual sessions. So there's an active tracking questionnaire in IWRS, but the applicant tracking system, I'm reluctant to take a deeper dive, but essentially this is a tracking system that is available to employers. So anyone who is interested in hiring Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship graduates, so hiring your graduates and having your participants in there helps you with those employment or DOL registered apprenticeship program placements. So when you put that information in there, when you put that information in the applicant tracking system, employers can go there and see, very specifically say, I need someone who can do this, who has this particular skill, this particular credential, and is within 50 miles of this location. Give me everyone who fits that criteria. And so the question is, why would they do that? One, they might do that because they need the support. So it is an easy way for hiring. But the other reason they may do that is because we have a bid credit program. I don't have time to go into, but they get credit on their future bid for state projects if they hire your participants. And the way they find them is through the applicant tracking system. So I'll pause there. Beyond the first year, the Illinois Works Peer Apprenticeship Program will utilize data matching to track participants long-term. So for program follow-up, you can see pages 155 through 157 in your grantee manual. Questions number 35 through 7 ask about follow-up. Number 35, has your organization incorporated Illinois Works follow-up activities? You can see page 156 and 157 in your grantee manual for that specific information into your internal process, short-term and long-term, keeping in mind there's a 1-year follow-up, but there's also the longitudinal study. Number 36, is there a plan for support for responding to NIU's follow-up with your organization? The recommendation is that you have someone designated to respond to NIU when they reach out to start collecting data from your program. But more information about the longitudinal program, the longitudinal study is on page 215 and 216 in your grantee manual. Last one, are there other needs met regarding follow-up services? So time, any questions about that?
No questions in chat, Gia.
Awesome. I know this is everyone's favorite topic, so I'm so excited to talk about it. Let's talk about IWRS data entry. Yay. The Office of Illinois Works, in partnership with SIU, so Southern Illinois University's Center for Workforce Development, developed the Illinois Works reporting system, also known, and we will frequently refer to it by its abbreviation, IWRS. The system was fully launched in February of 2022. Right now, we are implementing updates to IWRS based on feedback that we got from the renewal grantees last year, saying this is what we need. Those updates are actually being incorporated into IWRS right now, and we are probably impatiently waiting for the new version to be available. Due to the custom design, IWRS allows grantees to track pre-apprenticeship program inquiries, participants, and grantee partnerships. If you have not yet done so, what we're going to do now is look at questions number 38 through 42. Does your organization have a process in place for data quality management? This is what I will say about this. If it is not in IWRS, it did not happen. And if it did not happen, it isn't reimbursable. If I could put an exclamation mark behind that, I would. So I'm just going to say that. Does your organization have a plan for the timely entry of your program's data into IWRS, including who's going to do it, the frequency, time blocking for data entry? If you want more information about this, you can see pages 182 through 184 in your 2024 grantee manual. Have data entry personnel received either informal or formal training on IWRS? Given that we have not had our IWRS sessions yet, they are upcoming. The answer to this may be no, but for renewals, it may be yes. If you are a renewal, but you have new individuals who will be accountable for data entry, that might alter your answer to this question, but also let me remind you that the IWRS onboarding sessions are for new grantees, but also for current grantees, renewal grantees, who have new staff that have not been trained. As your organization develop a process to ensure the timely and accurate submission of your PFR PPR report. So has your organization developed a process to ensure your PFR and PPR reports are entered? More information about those are on page 193 and 195 in your grantee manual. So I want to give a really quick explanation here around PFR and PPR because they are under the IWRS section. But here's what's important to know. There are no data entry requirements specifically that say PFR or PPR, as long as you are entering your data into IWRS in a timely manner. Right? If you're entering your data in a timely manner, we will actually pull that from IWRS to help as the supplement for your reporting. So the PPR is due on a quarterly basis within 30 days of the end of each quarter, or as outlined in your agreement, because I know some organizations will negotiate something a little different. The PFR is how Illinois Works will submit expenses on a monthly basis for reimbursement. So again, there isn't anything in IWRS that specifically says PPR, PFR. We pull that data to help support your PPR reporting and PFR. Do you all have a process to make sure those reports, the component that you are accountable for, that those reports will be entered on time? Are all other needs met regarding IWRS? Any questions about IWRS?
So far, no questions in chat, Gia.
The next section is professional development.
Hey, Gia, I wonder if it's now 11:15, and I wonder if we might take a 5-minute break. We're about halfway through the report itself or the questionnaire itself.
Okay, let me ask. I am actually happy to take a break. Somebody said they was waiting for it. I was going to ask, but a break, or do we want to finish? If we are waiting for it, let's stop and break. All right. So right now it's 11:17. Yes, of course. Right now it's 11:17. So let's be back in 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Let's be back at 11:22. Thank you, Anna, for interjecting, and I will see you guys in about 5 minutes. Okay, it is 11:22. Let's get started back. All right, so the next section is professional development. And just pause for a second. Can I also see like maybe show of hands or a wave or something so I know that we're all kind of back and ready to go? Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. All right, here we go. I'm going to finish strong here. Professional development. So you must plan to participate in professional development and technical assistance, which I know you all have heard tons about. We talked about it in the last session. Anna gave you some additional information around professional development expectations and technical assistance, even at the start of this session. So clearly, given we are a workforce development program, we try to practice what we preach with respect to providing professional development support. So professional development is the culmination of tools, techniques, strategies that impact the knowledge, skills, behaviors, and attitudes of grantees with the goals of improving performance and enabling grantees to be successful in their Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship programs, its policies and procedures, and its technical applications. Professional development includes large group structured training sessions in person or via WebEx. More information about professional development is on pages 158 through 161. The professional development questions are number 43 through 45. Number 43, has your organization developed a comprehensive professional development plan? Template number 20 in your grantee manual provides a sample plan, and there's more information specifically about this plan on pages 174 through 176. Here is the underlying thinking around this. We at Illinois Works, we know the Illinois Works guidance and expectations, but you, as the administrators, you know your team and your staff. So we can offer professional development relevant to the Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship life cycle, but only you are able to assess what specific development your team and staff needs. So as a result, each organization is accountable for developing a professional development plan for their Illinois Works team. It can include the programming we offer, maybe with the community of, they'll be required to participate in a community of practice, or they'll be designated to attend the conference. But there may be other needs that would augment what we provide. It could be some of the instructor certifications. So the question for 43 is, do you have the plan for the development of your staff based on their specific needs? Next question, is there a plan scheduled for ongoing Illinois Works staff collaboration and team building? So that's not with us, but all of the coordinators that work within your program, is there a plan for coordinating with them and team building among them? And are all other professional development needs met? Keeping in mind, if you are a track 1, you will not receive a coaching plan, but you will receive recommendations for your professional development plan. And that's what this section is talking about. Any questions about professional development?
There is one question in the chat. It says, do you have the dates of the conference, which you've given? And then it says the regional conference is scheduled for May 22nd in Naperville. So that is the response to that. That's it.
Yeah, great, thank you. So thank you, Verily. We do have the regional meeting date available and the location. So that contract is signed. It's going to be at NIU, and it's going to be where we held the onboarding session in that same space. We got a lot of positive feedback around the windows and the room, so we're just going to reuse that space. We are planning that the annual conference is going to be either downstate or central Illinois. We are looking at don't hold me to this. I'm just sharing. I'm giving you all real-time information as we have it. We are looking, there's a space in Bloomington we're looking at, but we're also looking at some spaces that are even further south. We have not secured that space yet. Those conversations are still ongoing, but that program will be in the fall. So we're looking at maybe October for that. But again, that's tentative information. Any other questions?
No questions in chat, Gia.
Okay. So let's move on to business development. So nonprofit community-based organizations are mandated to have a functional board as a requirement of their tax status, of course, 501c3. Your board should help steer the organization towards a sustainable future by adopting ethical and legal governance, financial management policies, as well as by making sure that the nonprofit has adequate resources to advance its mission and vision. Questions 46 through 50 are about your organization. Has your organization developed a board of directors? Is the board engaged and knowledgeable about the Illinois Works programming and grant requirements? Has your organization procured the necessary license, permits, rental agreement requirements for an organization if you are a startup? And actually, I don't think we have any starts up this year. We've had in the past, but I don't think this year. But if that's applicable for you, please answer yes. Does your organization have a clear mission and vision that aligns with the core values of the Illinois Works grant? You can find more information about that on page 36 in your grantee manual. And are all other needs met regarding board development? Any questions about those?
No questions in chat, Gia.
All right, let's move on to strategic staffing and organizational capacity. To effectively carry out all program requirements, grantees must have dedicated staff. So there's a list of staff coordinators that Illinois Works requires. So staff roles are defined as a list of responsibilities attributed to a particular staff member. More information around the staff roles are on page 56 in your grantee manual. Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship, and of course, we pay for each of the roles that we require. Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship program fully understands that many grantees will have staff that cover more than one role. So you may have someone who does outreach and recruitment, but is also accountable for maybe the intake process, right? So there may be some staff that covers one or more roles. If you have, so we're going to take a look at questions number 51 through 55. Question number 51, does your organization have a comprehensive staffing plan that includes all of the Illinois Works required roles? I would guess that many of you will at least have a start, given that a staffing plan was required as a part of your NOFO process. Although renewals may have some turnover, and so, in fact, I know some renewals who are experiencing some turnover. So a new and updated staffing plan might be relevant. Are policies and procedures in place to ensure staff have the required skills set for the roles that they are being hired to perform? Is the organization's current capacity sufficient to execute your Illinois Works grant expectations, and do staff performance expectations align with the Illinois Works grant activities? And of course, are all other needs met regarding staffing or organizational capacity? Any questions regarding strategic staffing and organizational capacity?
No questions in chat, Gia.
All right. Let's continue on to professional communication and presentation skills. Communication is a cornerstone for effective team collaboration and cooperation. Ultimately, effective workplace communication will drive better results at the individual, team, and organizational levels. If you have effective presentation skills, this means you are effective at communicating your message to a group. I mentioned this earlier, but this is also about communicating up, communicating down, communicating laterally. By speaking clearly and getting your ideas and messages, there will be less miscommunication in the workplace. We're going to answer now questions 56 through 59. 56. Does your Illinois Works staff currently have the necessary professional communication or presentation skills? Does your organization have a process in place that provides guidance for delivering feedback and engaging in difficult conversations? Is there a plan for media and/or public relations? This is important because there are times when the governor will say, or the media will come out to, some of you have had the media come out to your organizations or have had the governor come and do a televised spot at your organization. So having an appropriate media plan. So which staff members at your organization are allowed to talk to the media about Illinois Works? The designated person, do they have the talking points that you want to be shared about your program? I'll just pause there. Do you all have that in place? And number 59, are all other needs met regarding communication or presentation skills? Any questions about professional communication or presentation skills?
No questions, Chia.
All right. We're going to move to budgeting, cash flow, and billing. These questions are questions 60 through 64. A cash flow budget estimates your business's cash flow over a specific period of time. You can use the information to ensure you have enough cash on hand to maintain regular operations over a particular time frame. Illinois Works has a performance-based payment model. It is important that your cash flow budgeting accommodates the structure of this model. Information about the Illinois Works performance-based payment model is on page 199 in your grantee manual. If you are a track 3, you actually do get an upfront % of your grant to help you get started. If you are a new grantee, you can also request a one-time advance at the start of your program. But really, this program requires your ability to manage your cash flow, given you reimburse for performance. The ability to be able to do that is critical. We actually lost an organization because, not because of performance, they actually were a really high performer. But managing cash flow, if you cannot do this successful, it can impose on your ability to be successful in the program. I'll just say that. Does your program have a comprehensive Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship program budget with no anticipated challenges? Does your program have the necessary cash flow between now and the first Illinois Works reimbursement, which can be up to 90 days? It could exceed 90 days if there are challenges with data entry and some other things, which is why the data entry component is critical. But typically about 90 days. Is there a dedicated staff person who will retain receipts and submit them for reimbursement in compliance with the State of Illinois Grants Reporting System, or GATA? Does your organization know how to manage a performance-based pay model? And are all other needs met regarding budgeting, cash flow, and billing? Any questions about that?
No questions, Chia.
Okay. Next session, program development. Grantees are accountable for program management and continuous improvement. Program management is the process of directing and overseeing 2 or more related activities that have the same aim with the goal of delivering effective services, compliance with program expectations, improving performance, and ensuring outcomes are met. Effective program management often includes a continuous improvement process. Continuous program improvement is the ongoing assessment of performance outcomes with the goal of identifying opportunities for incremental or innovative enhancement. Keeping in mind, program improvement is not necessarily because you aren't doing well. It's really just a moment to pause to say, even if we're doing well, what might make a difference that would make us even better? So the Illinois Works requires grantees to implement continuous program improvement processes to support the creation and actualization of their continuous improvement plan. Continuous program improvement models are designed to bring gradual and/or innovative ongoing improvements to service delivery processes through program performance, measuring outcomes, benchmarking against program goals, brainstorming opportunities for improvement, and implementing new strategies. As you know, particularly if you are a renewal or if you participated in the Grantee Manual Session 3, you all will actually get a compliance report every month from your grant manager, which will tell you, hey, this is how you're doing so far with the program. That's part of the data that you can use to leverage for your continuous program improvement process. Questions 65 through 70 address this. Does your organization have a plan for incorporating Illinois Works into your current program or business model? Has your organization established a plan for program development and implementation? Does your organization have a continuous improvement plan? Are all of the Illinois Works Peer Apprenticeship Program staff aware of the performance benchmarks in place to achieve program outcomes? Can I just put like a star by this? If your outreach and recruitment, if you have an outreach and recruitment coordinator, and I'm saying, yeah, like given you have an outreach and recruitment coordinator, do they know what the benchmark is for each cohort? If your cohort has been adjusted, do they know what that adjustment number is? Do they know how much is reimbursable for each person they recruit and actually applies and get accepted to the program? That's the same for transition coordinators, instructors. That information should be disseminated for all staff so each person understands how they are contributing to the success of the program, both performance and honestly reimbursably. Is there a plan for program evaluation? Are all other needs met in the program? Any questions about program development?
No questions in chat, Gia.
Maximize your grant manager relationship. So we talk a lot about technical assistance. And I think at this point, most of you have met your grant manager. I know that they've been reaching out to connect with each of you. So you either met them at the our launch for onboarding, or you've had subsequent conversations with them since then. But grant management is a process. To be successful, grantees and their grant managers must work together to achieve their joint goals. Communication between grantees and your grant manager is a critical part of effectively implementing your Illinois Work Pre-Apprenticeship Program. Even though grant managers are doing compliance and technical assistance, their engagement with you is not intended to be punitive. Their engagement with you is to say, hey, heads up, here's where you are doing exceptional. Oh, careful here. Here's where you may need to redirect. That relationship, I don't have words to explain how that relationship can potentially benefit you and your long-term success. Questions 71, 72, and 73 are about this relationship. Does your organization see value in cultivating a healthy relationship with the Illinois Work team, including, and perhaps even specifically, the grant manager? Does your organization need support with effectively communicating with your grant manager and maximizing their support to strengthen your program? And are all other needs met regarding you and the relationship with your grant manager? Any questions about that?
No questions in chat, Gia.
All right. Last content section regarding questions, avoiding unauthorized and unethical pitfalls. Unethical pitfalls are common traps that should be avoided. There are a number of common unethical pitfalls that we're going to talk about here. These are questions 74 through 75. Is there a strategy in place to avoid unauthorized or unethical pitfalls? Is there a process for maintaining or managing participants' records, ensuring appropriate confidentiality? Is there a strategy in place to prepare the organization for program audits if and when they are required or mandated, and are all other ethical methods addressed? There are things like skimming, where organizations will only accept individuals that have fewer to no wraparound service needs or student support services needs to increase the probability of graduation. Maybe someone, maybe they didn't attend a whole session, but it's just easier to maybe fudge that. Are the mitigations in place at an administrative level to make sure that staff, teams are not making these kind of independent decisions that could compromise your program? Any questions about that?
No questions, Jill.
Okay. Those are all of the questions. Anything else before we stop for today? And
Jill, I just want to offer one thought, which is
yeah,
that this questionnaire is not a test. There is no shame in saying no, no. There's no shame in that. The only thing that will happen is if you say no, that you will receive some support around it. So please, if you're in doubt, feel free to just say, yeah, we don't have it 100%, and let us help you.
yeah, that's a good point to make. There's nothing punitive about this. And, you know, to the point, what the question that we frequently get asked, so once we deliver the track designations, is that we have track one organization saying, wait a minute, this whole budget, blah, 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 can we get these PFR, can we get some support around this? And of course, the answer is yes. So this is just to make sure that, really from an equity standpoint, this is an equity program, that we're doing everything we can to make sure we support you all being successful in the program. So we are going to do an evaluation. Can I just say, you all have been very clear. We have to stop going over time in the sessions. Let me check the clock before I say, like, yay, we did it. What time is it now? I don't know, what time is it? Can you tell me? Because for some reason it's not
It
there.
is 11:45.
We did it. We're early. All right, I am going to share my screen, and if you could, the link for Mentimeter is being shared in the chat, and we're going to do just a couple of Mentimeter questions as a part of the evaluation, which of course you know we do every single session. So please do log in. Let me take a look here. We've got 12 people logged in. If you have not logged in, please do so. And I'm going to turn this over to Anna, who will do the feedback.
Great. Yeah, awesome. So I'm just going to give it a minute for everybody to get in. The link is in the chat. You can just click on the link in either the menti.com and then type in the numbers, or you just click the whole URL, the longer one, and it should just send you right in. And I see 12 people are in. We've got 49 on the call. You know, you can do this from your phone too. You don't have to do it from your computer. If you're like, oh, I don't know how to, you know, it's too hard to toggle screens, feel free to just bring it up on your phone. And I see we're up to 16. And Verily has put the link one more time into the chat. Please help us out. Help us help you. As we have repeatedly said, we are we care about continuous improvement ourselves. And so whatever feedback you provide us today, positive and negative, we will use to improve ourselves in the future. All right, I see only 16. Is everybody else taking a lunch break already? I wouldn't blame them. It's a lot. Let's just get started, Gia. Did I lose you, Gia? I'm not hearing you.
I'm on, and we should be on the first question.
And it still says give us your feedback, but I think that means people are probably in Mentimeter doing their thing. Please share your views on this training by rating the following statements from 1, which is the lowest, to 10, which is the highest. To what extent did this session today meet your expectations on a scale of 1 to 10? Awesome. Love to see it. 3 people thought it was awesome. Great. Still at a 9 out of 10, close to a 9 out of 10. Wonderful. And great. And that's the 13 people have responded. Thank you so much. We're going to move to the next one. Oh, great. 19. Good. We've got some extra people in the room. Now we'll be able to answer. So I'll give it another second. Oh, I'm glad to see we've got more folks than I realized who have gotten into Mentimeter successfully. 28. And thank you. And I see, for some did not meet expectations as much. We'll hear more about your constructive feedback later, but let's start here. Was the course relevant to what you wanted to learn about the subject matter? Do you strongly agree with that statement? Somewhat agree? Strongly disagree? Somewhat disagree? Neither agree nor disagree. Got 10 folks, so this is good. Let's see that we did make it relevant. All right, and we've got, looks like probably one person who somewhat disagrees. Thank you for your feedback. All feedback is valid. We're not just looking for a pat on the back, we're looking for reality. Mentimeter is moving slowly. Thank you, Patricia, for letting us know. 22, we've got 22 folks who have responded. All right, well, it's good to see that for the most part, it was relevant to what you needed. I plan to apply what I learned. Do you agree or disagree, and to what extent? We'll be patient because we know that it's moving slowly. Great. So it is applicable. This is one of the key questions we always ask in evaluations because it can be all kinds of relevant, but if you don't feel that you can apply it or you're not planning to, then it's not, the whole point is for it to be helpful in your actual job. So great. I see with 20 people, for the most part, strongly agree. Shall we move to the next? What improvements might you recommend? And so this one, you get to type in your recommendations for improvements. I'm seeing a couple of not applicables, and we're giving it time because it takes a little longer to type than to just press a button. Yeah, break up the information so the meeting isn't so long. And appreciate ending this earlier. Us too. And the 5-minute break. And then please elaborate on some templates, please. Okay. Yeah, sending out the Google Doc. Yes. That is a great suggestion for the future. More discussion. We're still rushing, we're new, we should take baby steps and going over it. I know it's a lot, right? And interactive tasks or activities to keep engagement. And I think in this session in particular, we didn't incorporate it as much as in the other ones. And so we can take a look at that. The slide deck, in the last session, I know we had somebody suggest that it'd be helpful to have a little more information on the slides rather than just the placeholders. So that's something I'm assuming that that's what you're talking about. Great. Someone that we have someone who's new, and so they were saying it wasn't relevant to them explaining the earlier answers. Yeah, and then we did do some repetition of previous webinars. Notes for it would be helpful to type up notes from the meeting, and then yeah, the information gets repetitive, and so that's something that we can definitely look at. And reading all the questions might not be necessarily. And yeah, just create more interactivity to keep the energy up. Absolutely. Wonderful. Yeah, we weren't ready today. This is we're a little bit building the plane as we fly it. So in particular, the Google Docs just wasn't quite ready to release, but we will release that as soon as humanly possible. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And do we have another question, Gia?
We do, and it will pop up, but everyone should see the second question on their device now and can respond.
Thanks. What did you find effective? If we can make changes, if we do make changes, then what would you recommend we keep? Staying on time. Yeah, references to the pages of the manual. Okay, making an optional meeting for previous grantees. Take that under consideration. Yeah, breaks and staying on time. Can we give it another minute? Great. It's nice having clarification of the items, but in the future, give the document out ahead and have this be a Q&A. Whereas, and then probably somebody a little newer was saying it was really helpful to go over the questionnaire together and making the PDF into a Word doc so that you can type in it is what I'm guessing would be helpful. And thank you for the acknowledgement. Great speakers, clear and effective, and another person who liked going over the questions. No changes recommended now. So, and wonderful. I'll just wait another 5 seconds to see if maybe somebody else is in the middle of writing something. I like the information. Just think it should have taken 2 days. I have a better understanding of what we need to do, but having the document early would have been great. We did send out it. What happened is that, as I explained, we're building the plane as we fly it. So we did send out the assessment I want to say last Friday. And so the grant managers sent those out to the organizations. Not sure how they were distributed within the organizations. Wonderful. And it's for someone new here, give them a better understanding of the program as a whole and the requirements and the roles of the staff. And thank you so much for your acknowledgement, having time for questions and discussing the document was great. Be able to ask for additional clarification. And it's one of the main reasons we do this live, so that you can actually ask your questions. Thank you so much. Gia, are there other questions, or is this the last one?
There is one last question, and it may take a second to show on the screen that we are projecting, but it is available on their electronic device.
Wonderful. Is there anything else about the course that you think we should know? So anything we didn't ask about? Any other thoughts? Thanks. And if your answer is no, please feel free to put that in, because I'm looking at how many people have answered, and that way we know not to continue to wait. Great. Looking forward to getting the link and getting started. Yeah, us too. Here's a question. During the IWRS session, will a sample student be entered from start to finish so that we can see the full process? I don't know the answer to that question, but I will take that as a suggestion, and the team will take that into consideration. Gia, I don't know if you have an answer to that question.
I do have any. Yeah, so there are actually 5 sessions. So we may not follow the exact same individual from start to finish, but we do use a explaining, demonstration, practice process. So you all will actually have a mock individual that you all will be able to practice with for some of the data entry components, and then of course pull to erasers, so that doesn't really impose on your real data. But we do explain, demonstrate, and practice.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone, for your endurance, first of all, for your patience, for your questions, for your engagement, and for giving us feedback. We really appreciate you. We wouldn't have a program without you. And it's a bit of a slog these first few weeks with so many programs. And yeah, please go slow on the IWRS sessions. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you next week. So we actually, what are we doing here? Our schedule, we do have next week we start the IWRS, or Gia, is that in fact happening? It's still on my calendar, or are we pushing that back?
That's going to be pushed back 1 week. We are waiting for SIU to finish our updates, and so this is really kind of the same explanation as earlier. Our SIU contact has been on vacation, and so when he gets back, he will see the notifications and update Illinois WorkNet. But just as a heads up, you will also receive information from your grant manager regarding the rescheduling of the IWRS sessions. So they will not happen next week, but tentatively, we are hoping to see them happen the week after.
There you go. So next week you get a break from these very, very long sessions. Get to get some of your work done. Well, again, thank you so much. And I think we can sign off. Have a great rest of the day and into Friday and the weekend. I already want to talk about the weekend. Have a good one, everyone. And we will see you soon.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.